Let's see. Okay, we're live on YouTube, we're live on Instagram, and I have on YouTube, you're not gonna be able to see this, I can move my phone. Um, I have Lila here with me today. She is eating her late lunch because she did not want to eat breakfast because we've both been sick. So she has been refusing to eat, which has been so much fun for me. Um, Dealing with her because she has been so cranky. But that is kind of what inspired. Yeah, you have crackers. That is kind of what inspired the topic today. Plus, we were talking about this topic a couple weeks ago in my mastermind call, which was the anxiety that kind of surrounds your to-do list. I hear so many people try to plan out their week, time block, or they say it doesn't work, or they're like struggling to get everything on their to-do list done. So, what do you do when you get behind on your to-do list? Because I've had it happen, seen other people had it have it happen, and there's some important takeaways to talk about as well when it comes to one, what to do when you get behind, and then two, how do you prevent it from happening again, right? So you don't keep falling up and down and up and down because I see a lot of entrepreneurs who will um fall behind or they like miscalculate their time and then they never go back and assess like why did that happen because you're so overwhelmed and you're such in the survival mode that you're like okay on to the next thing on to the next project and they don't take the time to reflect because they don't think it's a priority but reflecting and assessing on situations are really really important when it comes to this kind of stuff because that's why you're not going back and forth in this situation and you're not riding those waves of constantly being stressed out or behind schedule. So what do you do when you get behind on your to-do list? If you are a service provider, because I know this stresses service providers out a little bit more in our to-do list or a little bit longer when it comes to than than some other types of entrepreneurs and business owners. So, also, if you see me reaching off to the side here, it's because I'm getting Lila snacks to fend her off. So when you have a to-do list as a service provider, sometimes that's going to affect dates. So you need to assess, and that's what is so important about keeping yourself organized when it comes to client management on um, client due dates. So you have sorry, she's just distracted me. So when you have client management piece of your business, making sure you're staying organized with client due dates and your own due dates, because that's something I see entrepreneurs struggle with. This is something I learned at the beginning of starting my business was separating out my to-dos, like segmenting it and compartmentalizing my to-dos versus clients' to-dos. And obviously, you've heard me talk about ClickUp before. I've been in a lot of talks with people about ClickUp builds, ClickUp setups, ClickUp updates. Using ClickUp, or if you're just getting started, Trello is a great tool as well to and if you guys have any questions while watching this, please drop them in the comments and I will respond. YouTube, I can't see them, so I will respond after. If you're on Instagram, I can see them, so please drop some questions and I'm happy to answer them. Um, Keeping that in ClickUp and getting that organized is so crucial, especially according to your processes and kind of what you how you service your clients. So for like example, I have social media clients, their client boards and lists look a little bit different than those of my clients who are content creator, not content creators, but digital course creators, program managers, coaches. You can still manage your clients in these spaces so that you don't fall behind on to-dos. But if you do fall behind, specifically on client to-dos, because I know like people have been talking about sicknesses coming up, or maybe projects things happen where especially when you're getting feedback from clients you miscalculate due dates or you miscalculate response times in the dates that you have set. So if you are having issues or you're noticing you're falling behind on client due dates, even that feels very stressful and the pressure can really get to you. um And it can be really overwhelming and cause anxiety and put you in a bad mental state, which is not going to help when you're completing tasks and you're going to be running around like a crazy person, or you're going to make mistakes and your quality is going to suffer. So if you are falling behind on due dates with them, just reach out to them and let them know. It's better to say something before it happens, especially as a service provider. You're not getting any more food. No. Um, she just threw it all on the floor. So you got to let them know. Being aware, making sure you're sending updates to your clients. If something pops up, make over communicating is always better. So communicate with them and let them know, because pushing yourself to the brink of exhaustion every day is not going to help you. Um, and that's just going to be putting you into the hustle mode. So making sure you're communicating with clients that there are shifts in due dates, managing their expectations. And when it comes to your own business to do's, managing your expectations, because what I see a lot of the times is people really don't know their own capacity. That's the best way to say that. They think they can do so much, and I'm guilty of this too. I do this all the time where I plan things out and I'm like, yeah, I can get all this done today, and I don't. And then it's carried on to my next day. And then I'm like, okay, I'm not adding anything to this list until I get these things done. But things pop up. So what do you do? One, when I get super overwhelmed and super anxious about my to-do list, and I'm basically in a panic, something I do to reground myself and I forget the wording for this, but realign my nervous system, because I'll get into like this weird panic funk. And I will do a huge brain dump on everything that's making me feel panicked. Like, I just grab pen and paper, write down on a sheet, like everything in my head that's causing me to feel burnt out. And then I will go through that list and I run through the Eisenhower model and I group it into 4 categories. Like, this is the most urgent, most time sensitive, must happen for money movers. Decide, this is all stuff that is not time sensitive, that I still need to do, that I can't delegate. Um, that can be pushed back later. So those are going to fall into the next thing, which is shift those dates if possible. So you're reassessing, realigning, like, okay, there's not so much that I need to do. Then the third one is delegate or automate. So a lot of people just say delegate. I look at it as a bigger picture. So yes, delegating in the short term might be the best answer, but are there things in this case that you can automate, if they are reoccurring, or if they are possible to automate? That way it's taking stuff off of your to-do list on a reoccurring level, so that it's helping free up your mental space, it's helping free up your time, and making sure we're automating things so that our team is also not getting bogged down. We don't want to I've talked about this a little bit before. You want to make sure your automation is in the right place so that it is allowing your team to do their personal touch. So automate or delegate, and then delete, because there's usually stuff that's like, I don't need to do this. Like, this is actually not that important, and it's just taking up space in my brain. So it's like, I go, I'm done, not listening to that. So then when I have that paper list, I'll prioritize it. Obviously, do the most important things that are going to be delegated or decided on later. I will put into my ClickUp, and they have proper homes. So it's organized. My brain isn't like overwhelmed. I have my delegating lists for specific team members or contractors. And yes, that includes my husband, even though, because I keep all my lists and organize even personal stuff. So it's on all one space in ClickUp. And I will delegate things to him. I'm like, okay, this needs done for the house, or this needs done for the kid. And we have a shared list of things. Like right now, we're building out our house list because we want to sell our house eventually in the next couple of months, and we want to move. So instead of waiting till the last minute and being super overwhelmed, because we have really busy schedules between the two of us being two entrepreneurs, we are going to schedule out that time. And the perfect time to do that is when Charlotte's doing her visit. So if you know my story, custody situation, she goes and has visits for a longer period of time every other weekend. So those are great times for us to get these bigger projects tackled, because we're not having to, entertain both kids, and because I'm pregnant. So we want to get some of this done before I go into labor and we have a newborn again. And obviously, summer's the best time to do that. So thinking ahead, planning them out, putting them in the ClickUp so they're not just like sitting in my brain or on a piece of paper that could be spilled on by the kids, or ruined, or ripped, or lost, or not going to be able to be found. And then I add those due dates in. And even if I have to, some of them maybe move, at least it's going to be popping up on my calendar and on my to-do list to remind me, like, you got to do this. And it's not just all in my head causing me stress. And then when it comes to delegating, hiring out is always best, even if it's throw at me. You just threw a blueberry at me. Um, even if it's like a short-term project on Fiverr or Upwork, like I know a lot of entrepreneurs who hire like for personal tasks, and they will do this on Upwork or Fiverr, or there's like other apps that I've seen that work really well for this. To hire out to help free up their mental capacity. So like one thing we're looking at right now is Charlotte will be done with school soon, and I would like to hire a nanny this summer to help us 2 days a week, because I need help with the house tasks because I can't keep up, and I'm not afraid to admit that, and help with the kids because I know in my personalness, I love my kids. I love being with my kids. I love being able to come upstairs and see my kids. Um, but I need at least 2 days a week where I can be uninterrupted when it comes to my work, because the way my ADHD brain works is when I'm constantly interrupted, it overstimulates me. It makes me insanely frustrated. So knowing those things about yourself can be super helpful when it comes to knowing what you need, and it's very individualized. That's something I've learned in the past couple of years working with clients. It's very um, there's some people that have similarities, but some people that have differences. Um, so hire if you can, even if it is on a short-term basis. Things that I've delegated in my business that have been really helpful. So those were personal things that I've delegated in the past. Um, well, and in the future, but business things that are bookkeeping, because I'm just not good at that. I hate that. I don't want to have to think about it. I'm very diligent in my system or the process that I have for when I spend things that aren't normal, or if I spend something on the wrong card, instead of waiting and saying like, hey, I'm going to do this later. I literally will send an email right then and there, like this transaction, this amount, because I'm in the moment and I know what it is. Do you want cheese? Um, so I'll do it. And even if it's just on my phone really quickly, do you want this? Do you want this? Okay, that's just you're being rude. She's just like throwing all this food that I'm giving her on the floor. So hiring out, delegating. Right now I'm looking for a tech VA to help with a lot of client work, back and forth on that, on the tech VA role thing, and then a different role that I'm looking to hire for helping with lead engagement. Um, but so those are just some examples, and there's plenty of more. You can have general VAs, you can have personal assistants who are amazing. You can have social media assistants, social media managers, um, and all sorts of things. And then like the other tip that I have is don't just ignore it, don't let it go. Um, because you're just going to cause yourself more stress, and more things are just going to pile up. And I know sometimes for neurodivergent, or for people with anxiety, or people who struggle with other types of disorders, it is just easier to ignore it. But one thing that I found that helps me when I have anxiety and when I'm like super depressed about it, um, this is something my coach recommended, that I will focus on and visualize what I'm going to feel like once that task is done, and how good it's going to feel. So like for me, I get a ton of dopamine from checking things off my paper list, off my ClickUp list. That's why I don't think anything is too small to put in my ClickUp, because like when I see all the check marks in there at the end of the day, I feel so good. And it's like, oh, I really didn't waste my time on things. Like it didn't go by in a blur, because sometimes it can. Um, So don't ignore it. Really just try to tackle it piece by piece and do it in chunks because it's a lot easier when you have small tasks to um or to overcome and tackle at once. So once you get through like the big to-do list, take some time on like block off some CEO time where you can assess like how did I get into this? Be honest with yourself. Don't be beating yourself up. Just be honest like what did I do wrong? Not like wrong, but how could I have prevented this? What was triggering me or what caused me to not want to do this? Is this something I should even be offering? Because I've definitely done that where I'm like, damn, I procrastinated so hard on this task because I did not want to do it because that's not in alignment with me. So I'm not offering it anymore. So that's a good assessment to make because now I know I've learned more about myself. So definitely assess like what happened and how you can prevent it because you could learn some little nuggets of lessons learned. And then also using a tool like ClickUp or Trello to put your to-do list in because the nice thing with ClickUp is you can use it to see dashboard views. So I can see like, yes, I segment and compartmentalize my to-do list, but it is nice to see them all together in the dashboard view of like, okay, let's be honest with myself. Do I really think I can get all this client work done and this work for myself and this? So, and I've also learned in the past couple months that I can't always keep putting my clients' businesses first because I'm the type of person I'll just like try and get as much of their work done as possible. And something that has worked for me is just reaching out and saying, "Hey, this timeline, I don't think I can accommodate. Can we move it to this? Is this okay? Does this meet your expectation? Is this time sensitive?" Because sometimes more than likely they don't need it so that I can still prioritize myself and my business because then I'm feeling good about everything and it's not becoming like you're not becoming resentful to your clients or to your business. You're actually enjoying it, which is so, so important. And so those are the tips. If you're watching the replay, drop your comments below. I'd love to hear what your biggest takeaway was or something that you're going to start to implement this week to help get you back on track. Um, Lila is freaking out, so I think she's ready for her second nap of the day, which is good because I have a client call here in a little bit and then another podcast recording. So it was great talking to you. I knew this one was a little bit longer, but there was a lot to cover in this topic. And I went on a few tangents. But if you have any questions, my DMs are always open.